Continuing on with the show and talking about the running back rankings now in this segment, we're going to stop at the NFC South and go over some of the running backs there that will make a big name for themselves in this coming year. Really starting off with the number 4 overall team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. On my list, the Bucks are a little bit funny just because I felt that I saw a lot more production out of them in 2023. Not only because they won the division, but the jump you saw from Rachaad White there, who you see on the left side of your screen. He jumped a lot and basically doubled his production from his rookie year. He went from about 480 yards to about 990. One touchdown in his rookie year to 6. And then he got almost double the amount of carries from 129 to 272 in 2023. But if you look at them as a team and just really only depending on Rachaad White, they were last in total rushing yards at only 1,509 and also last in total yards per game at around 88 yards per game rushing. It isn't too great just based on the amount of numbers that you have, enough options at that position to really build a great and solid group at the running back position. Then you get to Chase Edmonds, who you see there on your right, and he does provide a little bit more in the passing game just from what you saw with the Cardinals, but he didn't have a great first year in Tampa Bay. Missed about 4 games, only had 49 carries, 176 yards, 14 receptions, and 81 yards. So the aspect of the game where you thought he'd excel, he really didn't do much in that part of the game. So they're just going to have to depend on Rachaad White even more, and you hope to see another jump from him to sort of help out this group and the production you get from that, because I know they have great receiving options and a great passing game with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and bringing in Sterling Shepard, drafting Jalen McMillan, but you're going to have to run the ball at certain points, especially once we get into December and January. If they could add another piece here, I think will be huge for them. But right now, they fill out the last spot in my rankings. Then you get into the 3rd overall team, the Carolina Panthers. They have more numbers, obviously, from what you see there on your screen. Chuba Hubbard, Miles Sanders, and Jonathan Brooks, who they drafted in this year's draft. About middle of the pack last year as a group and their production that they put out there against other teams. 104 yards per game and about 1,769 total yards rushing. Most people probably thought that Miles Sanders there in the middle was probably going to be the starting running back for this Carolina Panthers team, but much like their overall season, a lot of things switched up and a lot of things really just underperformed, and so did Miles Sanders. He sort of got exceeded and surpassed by Chuba Hubbard there about halfway through the season, and from that point on, Chuba Hubbard just doubled the amount of production that you saw from Miles Sanders to in really much every category to help out this offense as much as you could. And also with Bryce Young, going through some growing pains and the offense not having enough weapons really at the end of the day. Now, you bring in still these 2 running backs. You draft Jonathan Brooks, who was probably the best running back in the entire draft. Now you have 3 pretty solid options to cycle through if you really want to help Bryce Young and bring this running game up to complement him so he doesn't just have to throw it all game and have the potential of being sacked multiple times a game like we saw last year. I think that'll certainly help. They obviously addressed the offensive line and brought in Deontay Johnson, Xavier Legette as receiving options with Dave Canales now as their head coach. It's looking a bit more promising. They have more options to go to than the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so that's why they edge them out here just a little bit. Then at the number 2, it was pretty close, honestly. I was very close to putting the Panthers too. As much of a surprise as that would have been to a lot of you, I assume. But I have the Saints. I have the Saints at number 2 because they have about the same amount of options, but Alvin Kamara just really pushes them over the edge. Alvin Kamara paid as one of the best running backs in the league and produces as one of the best running backs in the league. One of the more dynamic and just slippery guys, very elusive guy to get on the ground. He hasn't had a 1,000-yard rushing year at all yet in the NFL, but he's always around 1,200 to 1,500 yards from scrimmage. Does a lot in the passing game. The Saints offense certainly missed him last year when he was dealing with his suspension, but once he returned, he produced at that same level. But this offense still needs a little bit more, definitely on the receiving side of it. this running game does help him out quite a bit with Taysom Hill and Jamal Williams, chipping in there from time to time. I would like to see more from them. It seems like Taysom Hill, the hype, the excitement around him from him coming in, the plays drawn up for him sort of have died down a little bit. It seems just like defenses know what to expect and know how to game plan around it a little bit more. So his production has gone down a little bit. I was a little disappointed also how they used Jamal Williams. He, if I'm not mistaken, was the touchdown leader just 2 seasons ago, and then with the Saints didn't really get as much love there and just as much attention from this offense. I would like him to sort of contribute a little bit more to the running game because Kamara can't just do it all himself. He has great talent and endless ability to create something out of nothing, but he definitely needs help out there. These two can certainly produce, I think, more than they have been over the last year or so, and I know the O-line still has some doubts, some questionable spots there at left tackle and the other right tackle, and the passing game doesn't help too much with this running game, but at the end of the day, Alvin Kamara, having him there just pushes this Saints team to my number 2 ranked spot here on my rankings, which means at the number 1 spot, like they have been really in most of my rankings that I've done for the NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons have the best running back group in this division. Last year, they produced the 9th ranked rushing attack, about 127 yards per game, and about a total of 2,159 yards on the ground as well. Coming from these two guys, not as many options maybe as the Saints or the Panthers, but the production is just that much better. They complement each other very well. Bijan Robinson can do a little bit of everything, honestly, and then Tyler Algier almost as well can do a bit of everything, but maybe not at the level and execution that Bijan Robinson can. Both of them are very young as well. Bijan now going into his 2nd year, and Tyler Algier will be in his 3rd year. So you have 2 young running backs in there that, one, you're not paying a lot of money to, and also you can have them right at the start of their career really try to overdo it and get the most out of their abilities in that running game. But as I mentioned before, with the Falcons and having them integrate a new offense and integrate a new system here in 2024 with Raheem Morris and their new offensive coordinator, I'm interested to see how they use these two. Arthur Smith used them a ton last year, and that's why you didn't really get too much balance with the running game and passing game last year. That's why Drake London and maybe Kyle Pitts didn't see the amount of attention and targets that most people wanted them to see. Of course, the quarterback situation also didn't help with that. So now are Raheem Morris and this offense going to go in a little bit different direction? Are they maybe going to lean more on the pass and get them some more touches rather than these running backs? That could be a mistake. Their offensive line isn't the problem. It isn't something where your offensive line can't run block or can't pass block and you have to do the other one. This offensive line is one of the more underrated groups in the NFL, so whichever way they decide to go, I think will really benefit them. They are very fortunate to have all this talent on the offensive side of the ball. Kirk Cousins also coming in, expected to start, an experienced, reliable quarterback that can throw the ball to these guys. And also, if you don't want to get him hurt or get him hit too much, you have 2 great options here in the running game. Very exciting for the Falcons to find themselves in this situation when it comes to, reputation and what have they done so far in the league. They are young, so they haven't really built a, extensive resume, but right now, how Bijan started at the start of last year, he dealt with a little bit of injuries, but I think most people will believe that he has all the capabilities, really, of being one of the best running backs in the NFL. And also, Tyler Algier, like most, I guess, second options, he is one of the better ones around the NFL as well. The passing contribution was a little bit under my expectations for the Falcons and what I would like to see both of them do. They're definitely capable, especially Bijan Robinson, so I'd like to see them be more involved that way through screens or just little dump-offs as well. Most of the time they're going to have a linebacker on them, so I would take either of these guys in that matchup. The Falcons have a lot of different ways they can go here, and that is what comes with having such a great, young, explosive offense that they have there in Atlanta. I'm excited to see it. I'm sure they are heavy favorites, along with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, to take that division. But in terms of running backs, the Falcons take the crown once again in this division. Let me know what you guys think of my rankings. Do you agree the Falcons are number one? Do you think I made a mistake maybe elsewhere? Leave it in the live chat box or in the comment section after this show goes off the air. But that'll do it for my rankings. That'll do it for this segment as well. And we're going to go to another break. When we return, two more topics to talk about on today's show. Jalen Hurts, his comments about the new Philadelphia Eagles offense and how he's sort of adapting to that. Plus, the preseason schedule came out last Friday. We're going to talk about that, what games are on national TV, and what games I'm looking forward to tuning into during the preseason. A couple more stories to get to. We're going to be right back in a few seconds after this next break.